Juliet could not bring herself to buy another corkscrew. I was having Thanksgiving dinner with Juliet and her children one year after she decided to leave her husband of 15 years. I have a corkscrew, Juliet explained as she tried to open the wine without one. It is in England with Adam, she said. I asked her not to get cork in the wine and walked across the street to the convenience store to purchase a corkscrew. It touched me that this woman, a seasoned cardiac trauma nurse who makes dozens of life and death decisions each workday, was too grieved and confused by her own divorce that she could not stop being family with Adam to make the $5 purchase. She treated his corkscrew like it was her own. She never expected when she left Adam in England how much growth her divorce would demand of her. Now it was time to open the Thanksgiving wine without Adam. This is the opportunity of the aftermath. Opportunity to create our new life and to choose how we want to be family with others. Divorce is a tragic heartbreak, but divorce can teach us a lot about family, growing up, overcoming loss, and loving deeply. So how do we really get over a partner? The partner was family, and it is sad hard work ending family relations. Families are bonded together by emotion. Our family connection is expressed through love, respect, disappointment, grief, and a web of other feelings. To heal from divorce, we commit to disentangle these emotional connections and to come to treat the former partner as if she or he is no longer family. In divorce, we unfamily our partner. This takes dedication. The opposite of love is not hate. To hate is to remain passionately, emotionally connected. The opposite of love is much more like apathy. It is letting go of our emotional connection, letting go of family. When we truly do not love an ex-spouse, we no longer show any intense emotion towards our ex. We stop expressing love, hate, jealousy, or our need for vindication, or any other intimate family feelings that we once shared with this other person. It is over. We ex our spouse. We deal with the ex not in a family way, but in a non-violent, civil manner. A more compassionate way to say this is we Gandhi our ex. We show as much emotion to our ex as we show the pizza delivery man. Pleasant, but not too much. Soulmate. We no longer share dreams or even hope for the best or worst. Such unfamilying requires extraordinary psychological insight and emotional work. We do not have to divorce badly. Divorce can be trial by fire, wherein is forged a fulfilling new identity and a family of our dreams. Divorce may lead to acting civil on the outside, even when inside us we feel far from apathetic. We fully experience the divorce emotionally, but behaviorally we become increasingly uninvolved. This personal family crisis can deeply teach us about regulating intense emotion. We painstakingly sort through the intimate and difficult ways we feel about our former partner. We learn to just accept these feelings and passions and not act on them. Oftentimes, we will process the turmoil in dreams or through conversations with counselors, friends, co-workers, and family. But we ex the ex. Good fences make good neighbors. We affirm this civil connection is no longer emotionally intense as partners are no longer family. A healthy divorce demands feelings expressed in words or actions will no longer be hateful, possessive, or vindictive. Such words and actions simply perpetuate dysfunctional family relatedness. An eye for an eye. Things will escalate. We own our feelings, and as best we can, we distinguish our feelings from those of our ex. A spouse can hurt us like no business associate or friend can, so we stop granting our ex this license to kill. We no longer belong. Many times we talk and act out a peaceful, civil connection while our hearts are overwhelming with love, hate, or contempt for the ex. A family-friendly divorce is not for the faint of heart. Think divorce. At some point, you will have to have your head tell your heart to divorce, so you act divorced. Your heart may feel that it can no longer live married, but it is your mind that decides to start this journey, shows you the door, puts you on the road, and sets the course so you might arrive at a chosen destination. So to be divorced, we think divorce. Divorce never really nullifies the vow till death do us part. Once divorced, your ex is always your ex. Just like your commitment to marriage, your mind can teach divorce by reminding you to commit to acting divorced, by feeling the intense emotion but acting peaceful. This will even help with any legal battles, as the calmest person in a family crisis can think the clearest. The divorce judge orders a legal obligation to unfamily. If you cannot legally and emotionally unfamily your ex-spouse, then you will end up in limbo, half married and half divorced. To unfamily, you will rely on your mind to disengage the strong bonds of kinship and intense emotion that make marital partners one. The judge decrees you will be divorced the rest of your life, and your heart and actions will follow your commitment to this judgment. Poor divorces demonstrate poor understanding of this commitment. Healthier divorces demonstrate solid understanding of this intellectual commitment. Feel divorced. Psychologists rate divorce as the second most stressful life event. Only the death of a spouse or child is rated more overwhelming. Some people never get over divorce, although most get over the intense period of mourning 6 months to 2 years after the marital separation. Divorce is not exactly like a death of a spouse, no matter how much you might wish it to be. The ex is still alive. When your spouse passes, you go to one funeral a few days later. Divorce can take months, years even. You still see your ex. To see your former partner is a moment of renewed grief. Divorce not only destroys the future you had planned, it questions the very basis on which the future was to be built, including your feelings about marriage, family, and your sense of self. Who are you now? Can I still love and be loved? Heartbreak, like grief, has 5 recognizable stages you pass through over and over when your heart breaks. These stages are not clearly separate from one another, nor do you complete one before you go on to another, but you'll find you experience the early stages earlier and the latter stages as you find the grace to accept loss. 2 of these stages of grief, anger and depression, fire the emotional burn of divorce. If you can competently resolve these 2 emotional stages, you will reinvent yourself and deepen your capacity for belonging and love. If you do not resolve anger and depression, you most likely will be consumed by your divorce, suffer deep emotional scars, and end up as a burned out wreck of an ex living in a broken home. This happens to about 15% of all people who get divorced. They fight over most anything, intensely connecting again and again. Wargasms, divorce hell. They never achieve behavioral apathy. These people remain angry, vindictive, and heartbroken years after the divorce and act out accordingly. Their rage and sadness consumes all. Let us remember the 5 stages of this grief. Shock and denial. At first you will not believe you are getting divorced. At times you will even think you might wake up from this nightmare and find you are happily married. One of the best predictors of a prolonged struggle to get divorced is one party's inability to accept the divorce. By accepting the grief, you can change suffering into tolerable pain, pain that will heal, growing pain. Divorce happens. Accepting it does not mean we approve or disapprove. It just makes it more tolerable and less expensive. Bargaining. Deeply heartbroken, we bargain with fate. We dream of reconciling. You may tell yourself, goodbye doesn't mean forever. You may wish you had one more chance and think of what you did wrong and what you should have done or said. Even thoughts that you can just befriend can be a sign you are bargaining with the heartbreak of divorce. When you are drowning, you clutch straws, hoping anything your ex says or does might rescue you from this breakdown. Fortunately, bargaining is self-limited. You grow weary of this stage long before you resolve your heartbreak. It drives you crazy. Anger. In a divorce, you may rage like you never did before. Your anger arises from rejection, betrayal, hurt, and the fear of what might become of you. You might even get angry about wasting your life in this marriage. Keep in mind that anger is just an emotion. It is neither good nor bad. Anger is a very powerful feeling. Angry feelings can be good and useful. It can help you burn up your past, forget the love you shared, and the heartache that these memories bring. When you are angry, you are more likely to take control and get things done. You say things you need to say and get things off your chest. Anger only becomes a problem if you are too angry for too long, or when it becomes the only emotion you are capable of expressing. Too much anger may lead to aggression, meanness, or violence. When you get too angry, you no longer get things done. You lose control and you say too much. You explode. Divorce can teach you to recognize when you are too angry. With careful study, you can learn to recognize your red buttons and know when angry thoughts typically arise. You can think angry thoughts. For every pet peeve you identify, you can come up with a pet rethink. The table gives examples. When rethinking anger, it is critical to identify the precise flashpoint when you allow your anger to turn to aggression. While there is little wrong with anger, it is just a feeling. There is a lot wrong with meanness, as it is an action. Divorce can help you learn how you can get angry as you can, as long as you do not act aggressively or mean. Mostly we get mean when we are too angry or have been angry too long. It can make you forget the other 4 stages of heartbreak. Your rage can possess you. To avoid being possessed, it helps to think about what you are going to do about what is making you angry. This is called taking a to-do focus. Often wondering what to do and planning a course of action will help you calm down and find a better way to express your anger. Like assertiveness, for example. Assertive action or communication is one way to hold on to who you are and to establish clear boundaries and maintain equanimity. One must learn to wield anger wisely to enjoy healthy growth through the family crisis and to create civility and peace. Depression. Heartbreak leads to despair. No matter how shocked and angry you have become, you sink into a depression. When you discover love dies, you get tired of thinking, what if, and if only had, your anger burns out. You become filled with self-doubt, your self-esteem plummets, and more you feel things are harsh and hopeless. This feels bad, but it is not bad unless you never again come up for air. Intense sadness when our heart breaks shows us that love still matters. Divorce breaks your heart because love still matters. Heartbreak is depressing. Depression makes you feel like you are swimming in honey. Everything takes so much effort. You no longer feel joy in life. You lose interest in things that used to bring you pleasure. Depression generates 3 types of thoughts that counselors identify as the depressive triad. I am no good, this is hopeless, and the world is a harsh place. When you have such depressed thoughts in a healthy divorce, you learn to argue back with the depression. Examples of antidepressing thinking can be found in the table. Acceptance. You grow weary of denial, bargaining, anger, and depression, and you think that you simply accept that you are divorced. Divorce happens, you say to yourself. It may be 6 months or 2 years later, but one day you will literally not think or feel anything about your partner all day, and it will be acceptable. For a moment, you might even miss missing your ex. Even early on, you begin to see that things might get better after the divorce. You already begin to accept, even early on. You do not have to wage a world war to accept the inevitability of divorce. Part of accepting is learning how to forgive. True, you may not be able to communicate to your ex how sorry or forgiving you are, and you may never hear an apology from your ex. Clearly, you cannot forgive someone for the crime of being who they are, but you can forgive yourself for what you did and failed to do in the marriage. It was what it was. Divorce is emotional. Unless you deal with the intense emotions of divorce, your crucible, this firing pot in which you find yourself, and all its contents will be destroyed. You will experience an emotional breakdown. To achieve a healthy emotional divorce, you have to learn how to feel. You pursue a better divorce with the hope of developing grace under pressure. You learn to deal with loss, heartbreak, anger, and depression. You learn radical acceptance. By deepening your understanding of feelings, you learn how to create yourself by acting instead of just reacting, and you learn to create the loving family with those you love and peaceful relations with difficult others. This is the opportunity of the aftermath.